All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, you can make the case that the Pittsburgh Steelers and New York Jets came into this NFL season attached at the hip in more ways than one. Last year, Aaron Rodgers was the starting quarterback for the Jets, but now, of course, he's in Pittsburgh as he and Justin Fields have swapped cities. All right. And for the Jets, it's a new era of football for them under head coach Aaron Glenn as he is attempting to change the culture in Florham Park. Glenn wants the Jets to be more physical. Okay. And honestly, in my opinion, what better team if you're the Jets under a new regime to test this out against than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. However, on the flip side, not too many people, I know I didn't, not too many people had it on their bingo cards that the Jets and Steelers would go out there and combine for 66 points today in what was arguably the best game of week one of this season. Now, early on, as was expected, the Boo Birds were out when Rodgers took the field as a visitor for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, two underwhelming years for Rodgers. Really, one, of course, the beginning of his first year with the Jets, the Achilles injury, and it went downhill from there. All right. But nonetheless, Aaron Rodgers was back to looking like Aaron Rodgers from the Packers today as he went 22 of 30 for 4 touchdowns and 0 picks. The Jets, to their credit, okay, they went blow for blow with the Pittsburgh Steelers today as we saw these teams just trading the lead back and forth for the bulk of this game. However, we did see New York squander a pair of 9 point leads in the second half. Nonetheless, we saw the Jets come back. They took the lead late in this contest on a Justin Fields touchdown with just about 7 minutes left in the fourth. We saw the Steelers get the ball back late, and with just over a minute left, Chris Boswell connected on a 60-yard field goal to give Pittsburgh the 34 to 32 lead with 63 seconds left. And when the Steelers needed a big defensive play in order to close things out, who better than another new Steeler, defensive back Jalen Ramsey, who delivered that big hit to dislodge the ball on Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson. It's one of those, I'm sure Aaron Glenn probably is not going to talk about moral victories, okay? But if you're the Jets, this is something to build off of. I mean, the Jets did a lot of things right today. And of course, unfortunately, they didn't score more points than Pittsburgh and they didn't make enough key stops. The Jets can look back at this game and say, hey, we got 182 yards on the ground today. Brees Hall had 107 yards on 19 carries. Justin Fields was 16 of 22 passing with one passing touchdown as well as two rushing touchdowns. He was only sacked one time in this game. You saw the athleticism. And honestly, in Fields' career, whether it was with Chicago, Pittsburgh, or now the Jets, this is the most comfortable I have seen him at the quarterback position since his days at Ohio State. Okay. The Jets needed to play a perfect game. They played an almost perfect game. They outgained the Steelers by more than 100 yards in this game. The Jets won the time of possession battle by close to 10 minutes. Okay, you look at it, they sacked Aaron Rodgers 4 times. They didn't force any turnovers from A-Rod. They kept the Steelers' ground game to just 53 yards. They didn't let DK Metcalf get off. He had 4 catches for 83 yards. But at the end of the day, the Jets couldn't make the big plays when they needed to. That fumble, okay, was huge. in the second half by Xavier Gibson on the kickoff. I mean, the Steelers had just made it 26 to 14. I mean, 26 to 24, and before you could blink, they got the football back, and now the Jets were down 31 to 26. But even with that, the Jets still showed a lot of resilience. Okay, came back and took the lead. Of course, they failed on the 2 point conversion, which left the door open for Pittsburgh to go out there and kick a field goal, which would ultimately give them a win. I'll tell you like this: it's a new regime for the Jets under head coach Aaron Glenn. We've seen the Jets, or I saw the Jets today, in my opinion, be more physical than they've been in a very long time. I saw an offense that is capable of having some fluidity. And in my opinion, I feel like the Jets are going to improve as a team as the season progresses. You could see it with the way that Aaron Glenn is going about things. You could see it in the preparation. And you know what? It's going to be a work in progress. Don't get me wrong. But nonetheless, I think the Jets are finally trending upward as they're looking and hopeful to end the longest current playoff drought in the National Football League, which dates back to the 2010 NFL season. And over that stretch, the Jets have only had one winning season since then. They went 10-6 back in 2015. On the flip side, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, you've got to be happy with this because this is a team historically that has a knack for winning the close ones and finding a way. And they've got themselves, albeit Aaron Rodgers is not the Aaron Rodgers in his prime when he was winning those MVPs. But nonetheless, you've got a guy who's capable of getting it done at quarterback for you, probably since the days of Big Ben, when Big Ben was still in his prime for the black and gold. And I know there's going to be some Jet fans out there who are going to be upset and say, hey, you know what? Aaron Rodgers looked like this, as soon as he took off the Jet uniform. Part of that is true. Also, he's got an additional year under him as far as getting healthy and recovering from that Achilles injury. But nonetheless, even just listening to Aaron Rodgers talk after the game, I've never really heard Aaron Rodgers talk like this. He talked about the team, just talked about the focus, basically just doing it whatever it took to win. And if Aaron Rodgers is truly bought all in for the Pittsburgh Steelers and for head coach Mike Tomlin and for offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, this Pittsburgh team could be extremely dangerous this year. I think this defense is only going to get better as the year progresses. I think this team is only going to get better as the year progresses. You've got a Jalen Warren in that backfield. You've got a Kenneth Gainwell. You have DK Metcalf at wide receiver. And if everybody's on the same page, I think Pittsburgh can be extremely formidable. And of course, if you're the Steelers, you got this. You gutted out this road win, and now you want to try to go home for your home debut next week against the Seattle Seahawks and try to build off of that, while the Jets are back at home next Sunday afternoon to take on the Buffalo Bills. But nonetheless, it was indeed a thriller, an epic this afternoon at MetLife Stadium. As I said before, the Jets played good enough to win, but just a couple of mistakes. That's what prevented them from getting over the hump and defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers. But nonetheless, it's back to the drawing board for Gang Green, while Pittsburgh looks to build off of their timely win. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. And the same goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you're on Facebook, be sure to check us out at the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.